Hi everybody, hi Mayamiko team. My name's Josie and it's a total honour to be with you today to teach you about the first session of our Introduction to Natural Dyeing video course. So natural dyeing is one of my big passions and it's something I've been doing for the last 6 years since I graduated from university where I studied textiles. I got really interested in how we can use plants and food waste to create natural, non-toxic colour. And it's a real joy for me to be able to work with you and the Mayamiko workshop and help us transition into becoming a natural dyeing workshop in Malawi, which is very exciting. So I also have been living and working in Sri Lanka, and in Sri Lanka I run a social enterprise which focuses around sewing, but also with a big focus of looking at natural dyes. So I've been teaching this process to a group of mothers in Sri Lanka for the last 4 years, and so I'm very used to language barrier and cultural differences, and really I encourage you to ask any questions. No question is a stupid question, never. And I will do my best to answer you and support you along this journey. So this first session is really about asking, what is natural dyeing? Because it's a very unknown concept if you haven't been taught about it. And so this session, I'm going to take you through all of the basics, a real introduction into some of the history of natural dyeing, why it's good for the environment, why it's important, and also why Mayamiko is starting to teach you about natural dyeing. So just to get you excited and give you a glimpse of what's coming over the next few weeks and months, these are some images from Sri Lanka of the types of fabrics that we create. So all of these fabrics here have been dyed using plants and food waste. So the image over on the right with our workshop manager Mina, she's holding the avocado dyed fabric. So that was dyed with avocado stones. And then this next image in the middle, the yellow was dyed using turmeric root, which is a really famous spice in Sri Lanka. And then these two images on the side, the top one was dyed using onion skins and the bottom one was dyed using indigo. And also this piece of fabric behind me was also dyed using plants. So this red colour was dyed using madder root, which is the root of a plant, the blue indigo, which is a leaf, and this one here, eucalyptus, which is a leaf. And this grey colour was dyed using a mixture of a local nut and then also mixing that with some iron water, which is made from rusty nails. So there's loads of different ingredients that we can use, and I'm so excited to start exploring what ingredients you've got in Malawi to create some new and different colours to what we can find in Sri Lanka or in the UK. So when I'm talking about natural dyeing, I might also use the word plant dyeing or botanical dyeing. And we're talking about anything from nature like flowers, bark, seeds, nuts, skins, food waste, roots, minerals, and sometimes insects can be used to create colour, although we're not going to be using insects. And we're mainly going to be using a mixture of nuts and leaves and skins. Here you can see pomegranate skins, onion skins, marigold flowers, a local nut, and some eucalyptus leaves. And so the colours that we get in Sri Lanka and in the UK will be very different to the colours we get in Malawi. but some of the ingredients will be the same. But because of the difference in water and climate and location, the outcome might be really different. So this is a discovery journey for us to discover what is going to work in Malawi and what doesn't work. But it's really exciting. So natural dyes are really a very ancient and old technique. And the fabrics which you use in Mayamiko now and which are used across the fashion industry, those are dyed using a variety of different synthetic dyes. And some synthetic dyes are still good and they are not harmful to people or planet, but some synthetic dyes are harmful. And synthetic dyes started to be introduced into our common practice within the fashion industry from around the 19th century. And that was really when there's a mass increase in growth and demand for clothing and fashion. And that mass increase meant that synthetic dyes were much cheaper, they were much quicker, faster, and more accessible. And it allowed for fabrics to be produced at a much quicker scale, at a much global, worldwide pace to meet demand. And that meant that, all of the traditional techniques like natural dyeing really got kind of pushed to the side and forgotten about. And I think it's really important that we continue these techniques. And as I'll talk about in a minute, they are much better for the environment and much kinder for the environment. And so the first synthetic dye was created in 1856. And that synthetic dye was the colour purple, which is very similar to the colour in that river, the picture which I've posted on this slide. And with that mass increase of consumerism and people like me wanting to buy more and more clothing, it's also meant that there's been some massive environmental challenges from the fashion industry, like 20% of fresh water pollution worldwide, which is really upsetting because people need that fresh water to drink and to live and to wash themselves. And if it's polluted, like in these pictures of the rivers, that's really dangerous. And then, like I mentioned, these synthetic dyes, some of the fabrics are dyed using azo dyes, which contain really heavy metals and chemicals like cadmium, lead, chromium, and mercury. And 70%, 60 to 70% of our clothing is still dyed using these dyes. And they're dangerous for the people who are working and making the clothing, and also the people wearing them. And then 8,000 synthetic chemicals are used within the manufacturing process of our clothing, footwear, and accessories, which is really huge. So that's why I think it's really exciting that people are starting to turn back to using plants and food waste to produce colour. Here are some images of, again, some of the plants that we can use, but also the local environment to us in Sri Lanka. And the positive thing about using natural dyes is that because they're created using plants and because we're using a natural fibre like the beautiful organic cotton that we're going to be using at Mayamiko, it means that the life cycle, the circle of that product, always can return back to the earth, and that we are reusing the resources that we already have on the planet. We're increasing the lifespan of those resources through using food waste like avocado stones or pomegranate skins, those items already exist and we're not having to recreate new items and use more energy and more of the planet's resources to do that. It also provides lots of exciting opportunities about starting to grow these dye plants, grow flowers that can be used. And just like within the agriculture industry and within farming, how people sell their vegetables to other people, we could start growing dye plants and selling those dye plants to organizations that can use them to create colour. It can also provide opportunity to heal the land, and where there's been trees chopped down, deforestation, dye plants can start to, re-nourish the soil and bring back some of the nutrients which have been lost, which is really important. So I've been thinking about a lesson which I'd love to share with you as we start on this journey. And that lesson is one about patience, because patience is really important when we think about natural dyeing. Because although sewing and machine sewing can sometimes feel like a lengthy process, it's actually quite quick in comparison to natural dyeing. So we need to have patience in different areas. We need to have patience for our team as we work together to build a natural dyeing system that works for Mayamiko. So patience for me as I'm teaching you, for Paola as she's hosting this, and for each other within the workshop as we each learn what our different roles are going to be and discover the different techniques that we're going to learn over this time. And then we need patience for ourselves and our learning journey. Sometimes we're going to have to experiment and it might go wrong, we might fail, it might not be right first time. That's okay. I made so many mistakes when I was starting out during this process, but that's how we learn and we move on. And then we need patience for the process. So plants take a long time to release their colour. So we need to sometimes just wait and let the plants do their thing. And then we can come back to it the next day or the day after and continue. A really key point about using natural dyes is that they only work with natural fibres. So natural dyes and natural fibres are like the dream team. They love each other. Natural dyes do not like synthetic fibres. No. So at Mayamiko, we're going to be using beautiful organic cotton, which is even better because pesticides haven't been used to treat and grow the cotton. So it should be really absorbent and really soft and suck up all of the colour that we're going to create. Some other fibres and fabrics which work really well with natural dyes are linen and hemp, silk, wool, bamboo and tencel. And we can categorize these fibres and fabrics into two areas. We have plant and animal. Sometimes the animal is also called protein. And under the plant, we've got cotton, linen, hemp, bamboo, tencel, and under the animal, we've got wool and silk. And often this animal fibre responds much better to natural dyes. For some reason, they suck them up and hold the colour in much, much tighter than the plant fibres do. So with the plant fibres, we need to go through a few extra stages to help the colour fix to the fabric so that when we wash it, the colour doesn't run or we don't lose the colour. And when it's in sunlight, the colour doesn't fade too quickly. And this fixing process is called a mordant. And that's a new and strange word, but it's really very similar to fixing the colour to the fabric. That's all it means. and we're going to go much more into detail in a following video about that. And so just to conclude and get you excited about what's coming over the next few weeks and videos, this is our natural dye colour palette from Sri Lanka. So all of these colours we create from plants and food waste. And some of them will be really similar to the ones that we can find in Malawi, and some of them will be really different. And also some of the plants which are the same, like avocado stones, in Malawi, the colour we get from avocado will probably be a different shade of pink to the one we get in Sri Lanka or the one I get now in the UK. So lots of discovering, lots of note-taking and experimenting that's coming your way, but I'm really excited about this and I'm really pleased that we are getting this going even during these challenging circumstances of COVID. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and I hope that helped you understand more about what natural dyeing is and how we're going to take it forward with Mayamiko. So bye!